You're listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers.
Presented by CMH Heli Skiing and Peak Performance.
This episode of the LPP is brought to you by CMH Heli Skiing, Peak Performance Outerwear, Fat Tire Amber Ale, RMU Skis and Mountain Culture Shops, and the official destination partner of the LPP, Kicking Horse Mountain Resort in beautiful Golden, British Columbia. Enjoy the episode. Tons of music. And I want to, when I'm listening to songs, I picture ski films in my head.
Yeah.
And what type of clip that I would put.
For what part?
To the song. Like how I kind of try and build or edit like a ski part to the song that I'm listening to, like when I'm walking the dog or something like that.
Nice.
Not always, but a lot of times.
I feel like I do a similar thing. When I hear a song that I really like, I'm like, this would be a sick movie part.
Yeah.
Mental note. I actually have a playlist that is just like ski edit songs.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
When I talk to...
haven't been done yet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
When I always want people to ask me, give us some song ideas. I'm like, yeah, I got so many. I love exchanging music with people and talking to people about music and stuff. I remember when I talked to Henrik Harlow a couple of years ago. It was during COVID, during the Zoom season.
Oh yeah, virtual.
That's what he does too. He builds parts. He knows what song he wants, and then he'll go and do what he needs to do to insert into that part, for the song.
That's wild. I wonder how many skiers actually just do that. I bet you more than we think.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the best part. But and then this year I have 3. The last couple, I didn't actually watch that many ski movies the last couple of years, but on the festival this year I made a point of it. And the best part of it is finding new music. Shazam and ski movies are the greatest combination ever. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so many, I just remember when I moved out west and started watching ski movies, there's so many songs from that era that, I can tell you what segment, who was in it, where it was, what film, what year.
What part of the song, what ski part.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've watched it so many times.
Totally. I think music is such an important part of a ski film.
So
it's impossible to license a song that is for less than $1 million.
Yeah, some of them. But what I would really like to do is go talk to an athlete and be like, hey, can I re-edit some of your stuff just for myself? Just have a fun little edit. Go to one of my friends who have a production company and just say, hey, can I just screw around for a summer and just do something just as a personal project? I don't even want to put it out. I just want to see if I could do it, just learn.
Right.
It's I just want to build a part with good footage. Because I've done everybody's done their own little mini edits, right? Their GoPro.
The GoPro, iPhone, whatever.
Yeah, the knees, skis.
Reels.
Yeah,
the
right.
TikToks.
But even before then, right?
Yeah, totally.
When GoPro first came out and you got hours of garbage footage and you don't edit any of it out and you just put it just play the song and just try and match it to the clip that you have.
Big time,
right?
Yeah.
But I think, it would be fun to do.
Yeah.
With the music thing, there's a guy, Eric Foss, I believe. I'm sorry, Eric. Sorry, dude, if I forget your name. He runs a independent record label.
Oh, okay.
With a lot of oldies and 70s style music and stuff. That
Sick.
He reached out and was like, I like your show. Let me know if you need any tunes. And then I think Riley and the Seek and Nirvana guys used some of their.
Nice.
Yeah, some of their songs. Yeah.
I mean, those edits were iconic. I loved the style. It was very Wes Anderson and very cool and niche.
Yeah,
it was the first of. I feel like it was the first of their kind, and then I feel like there's been a few kind of that have gone with that vibe, whether it's in the ski or snowboard world.
That was right. It was the golden age of web series.
Yeah.
Web series. Yeah, I think it was because that was when web series was first this is what we're gonna do now. Right?
Well, yeah, it was YouTube got big enough so it decentralized all of the ski film industry basically, because it used to just be Matchstick and TGR and Poor Boys, and then YouTube happened and cameras got good enough that people could afford them and bring them with them into the backcountry and film their friends.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got a camera, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Like my partner filmed my whole season edit 2 years ago.
Because you did a web series last year.
Yeah.
You released it last year.
I released it last year. It was like 2 seasons ago, I guess now, whatever season that was.
What was it called again?
Skier Rich.
That's right.
Yeah. The whole premise is like you have no money, which I have no money. But you just spend it on fun things like skis, snowmobiles,
fuel,
gas, food, beer, the essentials.
Yeah. You don't pay yourself labor for editing and stuff. Did you pay your partner?
I did. I paid him the whole sum that we got from RMU, which was $3,000 for a 3-part movie or 3-part web series that we filmed literally from December until April, until I blew my knee.
So I wasn't going to ask you how much they gave for you, but that's it.
That's it.
You produced that entire, that's enough for one. They would probably be happy with one. You did a 3-part.
Well, that was part of the contract is they wanted a 3-part web series and they were like, you can just shoot it on GoPro. And I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like I've got this opportunity. And
they wanted a 3-part web series for $3,000.
Yeah, but they were like, oh, it's fine if it's like GoPro edits or whatever. Like
they just wanted,
they just wanted stuff to populate their YouTube. But I kind of like wanted to go above and beyond because I was coming back from another knee injury, and it was like the first year that I was feeling healthy and like motivated again, and I had
just wanted to prove yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I had been kind of shot down by like a production company, and I was like a little bit fired up because spite is a great motivator. And, and then I was like also just felt like I had this opportunity and I just like wanted to go for it, and I was finally feeling healthy. And my partner had never filmed before, but he wanted to get into filming. Right. And so...
And he just wanted to spend time with his lady out.
Well, yeah, he realized that he was never going to see me if he didn't figure it out. So on top of his full-time engineering job, he figured out how to film and sacrificed a lot of time to film me, which was pretty sick. I think
sacrifice might be the wrong word. He chose that time wisely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sacrifice is a heavy word, I guess. It was a joint. We called it Independent Together Production Company. That's what we call our production company. Because we kind of do our own thing, but we also.
So what was the theme of it?
So the theme was just kind of the linear. Like the timeline was just kind of linear for that season. So we started with like powder and pillows, and then the second episode was this zone. It was like I called it my white whale. Because like in Moby Dick, he's always searching for that white whale and he always sees it, but it like never really comes to fruition. And so I went back to that zone like 4 times. So that was like the story of like how I finally went and skied this silly little pillow zone. And then the third one was a bunch of alpine skiing. And that was like big lines around that were sled access around Whistler, BC. But the premise, it's called Skier Rich, and it's just about going and having fun with your friends and how, like, you can be rich without actually having money in your bank account. Fair enough. I guess. But it was pretty cool, and he ended up filming with Blank last year, and I ended up filming with Blank last year because of it. And I got nominated for Female Skier of the year before with IF3, so that was really cool. Wasn't really expecting that, but, like... so fired up. Like I feel like that was like a really nice validation that I like had done it.
You're well, back before I move on, I liked it. It was a great great series. It was funny. It definitely represented you as a person. Like I was watching and I was like chuckling because even if people don't know you, they find it funny because there's a lot of those little like Alexisms, Armyisms.
Yeah, Armyisms. Know about them.
in like behind the scenes stuff where you just capture the cameras rolling and you're like, oh, that's a good one. It's like you're cutting them in. So it was an interesting story. It was really cool. One of the things that always stick in my head is when I think it was tell me if I'm wrong, but in the series you're talking about like the different snow conditions in those 3 zones. So a lot of people live in the Sea to Sky Highway, Squamish, Pemby, Whistler, Ice Cap, but those are 3 very different snowpacks.
Yeah, totally.
Even though it's a half-hour drive from one to the other.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
I mean, we're so close to the ocean, and just, it's like they're little microclimates because we have all of that moisture coming off of the ocean immediately. And then we've got like the ice cap. And then as you move further inland to the Duffy, like there's so much less moisture there that, like, for example, we're tracking a storm right now. Squamish is going to get 47 centimeters in the next 3 days. Whistler is going to get half that, 20-ish. So it's like super different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I thought about. I'm like, you're right. That is right. But a lot of people wouldn't even think about that. The recreational sledders or the recreational, not super experienced backcountry skiers, that mid-range, they're like, oh, it's fine. This is what it says here.
Totally.
But it is so very specific. And you brought that up in the series, didn't you? Or was that like a talk that you did? I don't remember. I remember it coming from you somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I didn't touch on that so much in the series because we were just like really trying to like showcase the skiing. I think I talked about some avalanche conditions in the second one to do with like that zone that I was going back to because we kept getting like kind of screwed because of surface horror or a north wind that would come in and just like if there's a north. Just FYI, anyone who lives in Whistler, if there's a north wind, just like go ski some groomers or do something else because it just like absolutely screws everything, like tip to tail, like from the Duffy down to like Squamish. There's nothing. But I'm pretty lucky that I had a ski patrolling background for 4 years. So
that's right. You were in Golden.
I was at Lake Louise.
That was Lake Louise.
Lake
Rockies.
Louise, the Rockies. Yeah. So the mountains are really trying to kill you out there. So I feel like I came in with a pretty like cautious approach to the mountains here, and it's pretty interesting. I'm lucky enough to spend a lot of time out there because it's my job and I love it, and so I dig a lot of pits, and you get to see different snowpacks from Squamish up to Pemberton, Braylorn area, and yeah, they act very different, and
you're
they have
a
very
spreadsheet
different.
girl, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I've got I can't tell you.
Yeah, no,
I've got a super nerdy spreadsheet.
Yeah. Someone told me about that, and I'm like, I know that she was like on it, but I didn't know she was that on it.
So I have a spreadsheet with a bunch of zones that I want to ski, and it's got the elevation that they're at, it's got the aspect, and then the last known time that I've seen it skied in a good condition. And then so like if avalanche conditions are kind of like tricky, I can be like, okay, so there was really bad wind in the Alpine, but like, and then it was like a low freezing level, so it was like 1,500 meters, so we've got that. And so I'll like put those into my spreadsheet and it will tell me which zones are good. Sometimes none of the zones are good though. But anyways, I'm pretty low-key nerdy about snow and doing stuff out there.
That's awesome. And that's kind of where you're at now, is a lot of it comes into that because you put in the work. And that's something that you've, over the last time you were on the show.
4 years ago.
Was it? Yeah, it was 4 years ago.
A lot has changed.
Yeah, you were living in your camper.
Yep.
In Revy.
Yep.
I remember driving by it and being like, oh, there's Alex. And I went and knocked on the back of your camper and was like, hey, what's up?
Yep. It's just chilling in there.
Yeah, just said hi. I'm like, well, when you're back in Whistler, let's do a podcast.
Yeah.
And I met you the first time at IF3 in like 2017 or something like that.
Yeah, I brought my mom.
Right.
And she discovered vodka Red Bulls and wondered why she was up until 4 a.m. Shout out to Carol.
Yeah, Carol. But like watching your career over the last 5 years, you have been one of the most focused people I think I've ever known when it comes to this. Right? Nothing's come to you easily. No one's handed you anything. You have busted your ass with a singular focus to get where you are and where you're continuing to go.
Oh, well, thanks.
You're welcome. But it's been nice to see. It's inspiring because it's like I said, nobody's handed you anything. Like you made amazing 3-part, like award-nominated 3-part web series.
Yeah.
On $3,000.
Yeah.
Not because a lot of people would be like, oh, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do it. I'm worth more than that. You were like, fuck it, I'm going to do this because I want to do this, and I need to do this to prove myself. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, totally. I just wanted to be like a proven like asset in some ways. And you know what I mean? Like in the sense that like I've never felt like I've deserved any of it. And that's not because I have low self-worth or anything. It's just like I think I get how business works, and it's like you have to be like a proven asset in a lot of senses. And I just do really like genuinely love skiing. And
I was
I
going to
wouldn't
say,
be
not
here.
if you're expecting $3,000 for I'm just teasing.
Well, to be honest,
yeah.
it was 2 years when we started that project. It was 2 years after I had ripped my knee apart, which happened literally a month after we did our last podcast. So I like fully did my ACL. I had half of my meniscus removed, and my knee was so loose that they actually repositioned my IT band. So they like moved my IT band on the lateral. Well, yeah, all IT bands are on the lateral side, but on the outside of my knee, further down to give my knee more support. So that like the year that I moved out here, I was like, that was 3 years ago. I was definitely like in a bit of a limbo because I was like coming back from that, and I wasn't skiing very well because I was still healing, and I was giving myself time and space to do that. But then that next year I was like, I hadn't really done anything for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky that like a lot of my sponsors still wanted to like stay with me. Like the North Face was amazing. They were like, I called them, and
so you weren't even with North Face by the time. That's not last time we spoke.
No, I was.
Or just started.
It was like my second year with them.
Okay.
And I like called them. I was so nervous after I blew my knee. I like waited a week because I was like, oh my God, how am I supposed to have this conversation? Like, I'm gonna get dropped for sure. And I called my team manager at the time, Max. Shout out to Max. And I explained the situation. He was like, you know what, like that 1 year contract, we're going to make it 2 year contract because we just like want you when you're healthy again. And like, that was really cool and like a huge like weight off my shoulders. But because of that, like grace period that they gave me, like it made me want to like work that much harder when I got back.
I love how you source inspiration and like drive from like completely polar opposite things. You just said spite's a good motivator.
It
right?
is.
But now you've just been given this like support, and you're like, that's my motivator, right? Like what's like,
well, love and hate, they're pretty close emotions. They're strong emotions, you know.
Right. But I love how you just in the last 10 minutes just explained that, you know, when you get your ass kicked, that's motivating. But then when you're like given that support and lifted up, it's motivating. Like,
yeah.
Is there anything that you're just like,
I feel like
what doesn't motivate you?
What doesn't motivate me? Bad attitude. I feel like when you get to the bottom of the line, or like when people are being too cool about something, like if you don't claim when like you've stomped something, you know, that you're like really proud of, I feel like that's kind of lame.
Oh, you don't like the nonchalance? You don't like people who are humble?
Well, it's not about
that
being
humble bastard.
humble. It's about being too cool for school, you know? It's like I feel like you should celebrate your wins. And like you should also learn from your losses. Like I feel like you shouldn't get down on yourself from your losses.
Just like get rid of the ego or get rid of the facade. Just be like, if you like almost eat shit, you're like, you know what I mean? Just be real.
Man.
Just be real. Yeah. So keeping it real in the backcountry.
Keeping it real. Yeah, just telling it like it is. Just wear your heart on your sleeve a little bit. Yeah.
So you got connected with RMU, and
that was actually your doing a little bit, because we did that. I think it was like early season.
Oh yeah, the skin peak lap training camp.
Peak lap training camp. Yeah, we went up Whistler and we were doing like the peak lap, and Mike Weishi was there. I was with Blizzard at the time. It was like the year like right after my knee surgery. And I was just like taking it easy, but I like developed a relationship with Mike through that, who's the CEO and founder of RMU. And then the next year, they kind of like made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And I brought that to Blizzard, and they weren't able to match it. So I moved over to RMU, and I mean that did include the $3,000 for the web series, but it also included getting to build a ski.
Yes, and
which was really
perfect.
Cool.
This episode's flowing nicely.
Yeah,
and that's why I was just teasing them. As everybody knows, RMU is a sponsor of the podcast. They're great friends of the podcast. They've got the chicken sandwich at the shop now. There is delicious.
Yeah, I just had their vegan eggs Benny.
Oh yeah,
it was actually really good.
Because we couldn't yesterday because we missed breakfast.
I had to redo.
Shout out Minty in the kitchen for putting together a good menu. But like I said, I'm just teasing RMU. You know, they're awesome. Like as you can see, there's some skis behind you over there, and there's a couple skis in the corner over here. So you got connected with RMU. Mm-hmm. You had your first year where you were able to do that really awesome web series. Mm-hmm. But like you said, you got to design. I remember talking to you about this too, when you were like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you were debating, do I do this? Do I do this? And I just threw my 2 cents in because that's what I do. And I'm like, you get a chance to develop a ski, you go with them.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. And you knew it the whole time, too.
I knew it. I just needed some validation, so I asked a lot of people. But
and everybody told you?
Well, yeah, I feel like it was a no-brainer, but I have, like, I'm, like, a fairly, like, loyal person, I feel like. So sometimes I, like, that trumps some other things, like business stuff. But that was really... I was like, this is a no-brainer. This is offer, cannot refuse.
And then I remember you saying to me last year, I don't think I'm going to get a pass. I'm not going to get a pass. And I almost yelled at you. And I'm like, you get a pass.
Yeah,
I'm like, how are you going to develop a ski in the town you live at where the shop is at the base of the mountain if you can't be like, oh, I'm just going to go up for a couple laps and we'll suss this out. And you're like, oh, good point.
Yeah, that was a good point. I was just being cheap because I wasn't a student anymore.
Right.
And
no more student pass.
No more student pass. So I was like, oh, I really don't want to pay like $1,300.
It's hard, pass. Right? And it's funny because you knew you were going to do it the whole time, but you're like, I don't know if I want to, but I'm going to maybe.
I was also just being a bit of a stick in the mud because I was like, oh, frickin' Vail.
I agree. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. Yesterday proved that a little bit.
I feel like I've heard a lot of people getting veiled this year, but that's okay. It's fine.
It do
be that way. You only have to do it once, and then you get your pass, and then it's done.
Yeah, whatever. It is what it is, right? Mm-hmm. Epic lift lines if you want to bitch about Vail. This isn't a place to do it. Not until Microsoft offer anyways.
I don't. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. I try not to shit talk on the show as much as possible. Look, obviously a little bit in pieces here, but I'd say I'm fairly neutral if you guys are listening. Would you agree with that? But I have very strong opinions. Maybe that's a Patreon show. Is like the real me can come out on the Patreon show. Is
just going to be called Salty Dog?
Salty Dog. I don't think I'm that salty. I'm just opinionated about stuff.
Yeah.
Salty Dog. Maybe. It'll be a picture of Cedar.
Yeah.
That'll be the cover of the podcast title.
Cedar can really shine.
Yeah, right? All right, so let's get to it. So you got a chance to develop the ski, which is amazing. So like all of the struggle, not struggle maybe the wrong word, but all of the efforts and all of the everything that you did, call it struggle, all the struggle and all that energy and effort you put in to move your career forward. All of a sudden you're like, wait, I get to design a pro model?
I know, it's pretty wild. I feel like
it's like you skipped a few steps.
I really did.
Jumped a few levels.
Yeah, well, it was like funny because I'm like developing this like pro model or the ski at the same time that I'm like getting rejected from production companies and like having to like do the series. So it was like a very like weird place to be because you're like, holy shit, this is so cool. But at the same time, it's like I haven't quite like made it yet in some ways.
Some people are telling you you're not good enough. The other companies like design a ski for us.
Yeah. So it was like a weird place to be. But yeah, like I said, like getting that like female performance nom 2 years ago like really validated a lot of things for me and like kind of like supported me in knowing that I was like on the right track in a lot of ways. But yeah, getting to develop a ski while you're like kind of like on the struggle bus was like a weird thing, but also like a really cool thing. And
is there any like imposter syndrome going on?
I feel like if you asked me like a year ago, 100%. And like I feel like this year I'm finally comfortable being like I'm a professional skier.
Well, look, you got your ski right there.
Yeah, like so I feel like I'm kind of getting more comfortable with the idea that this is my profession.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm stoked.
I don't know. Sweet. That's pretty awesome, hey?
Yeah, but yeah, I'm really stoked on the skis too. Like,
all right, so talk about the process. So like have you ever done any like woodworking even or any kind of like design or any kind of like manufacturing before?
I used to boot fit at a pretty high level. Like I used to boot fit for like a lot of Team Canada athletes and skier cross athletes. So I had been around boots and I understood that part, but I had never really like transferred that to skis. I'd also worked in ski shops, so like I kind of knew like the jargon, but I really didn't know like what it took to create a ski from like tip to tail.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess the process was really just sitting down and looking at the lineup and like kind of what was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of like, okay, we've got like this Wiley 118, but it only comes in. Oh yeah, there they are.
Those are this year's Wiley 118s,
Nice.
and I'll just interject. I love those skis.
They're great.
I love those skis. They're one of my favorite skis I've ever skied. Just for my style of skiing and like Whistler.
Yeah.
You can charge big lines, but you can also rip them around in the trees.
Well, yeah, they weren't changed for a long time because they were just good.
And you can like, they're so forgiving with landings. I love them. Anyways, I'm sorry.
But the one problem with the Wileys is they were just too big.
Too big.
I'm 5'1", so I'm not gonna ski like a 188.
Fair.
But,
that was my issue with Armies for a little while, is that, and I always used to tease them that there's a bunch of short people working for them.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't that many longer skis. There's a couple more models now. Like with Adma's Professor, it's got a longer model. This one, so I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
So I like the 184 wasn't cutting it for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I needed but I think that was one of the reasons I initially chose that ski.
It's because it was long enough.
Yeah, and I'm like, I know Wiley.
Yeah.
I've seen him ski.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. He worked at Forefront for forever, working with like Hoji and
I feel like most of those guys were super hands-on in the factory.
building those skis. So I'm like, all right, I'm sure these will be fine. And they were. And they were. But yeah, anyway, so back to your
Yeah,
looked
so
at the lineup.
Yeah, we just looked at the lineup and looked for some gaps, and I was like, I personally really like something between like a 113 and a 116, and I was like, I normally ride like a 176-ish for like all the time, and then
Like your
every day. I do use the 184s for big alpine lines just because you just want a boat underneath you for stability. But so we just kind of looked at gaps and kind of like something that was in that range was kind of missing and in a shorter length. And I do recognize that we do only have one model in like a 162, so it'd be great to like move into like have a few more smaller skis too. But for now, we've got like this in a 176, 114 underfoot, which is like basically, my like go-to ski for any time.
What's the name of it?
It's a North Shore 114.
It's not the Alex Armstrong North Shore. Did you fight to get it titled?
For my name?
The Alex Armstrong Pro model.
No, I was just like pretty stoked to make one. Honestly.
So you see the lineup of skis and you're like, all right, I think we need to find something to fit it in. So did you just start a new ski from scratch, or did you take an existing model and then kind of tweak it to your specifications?
The North Shore existed before. So this is like a reissue, but they scrapped it from the line. So we're just like using an old name, but it's a completely new ski.
Well, see, that's a question I have. Why would you do that then? I wasn't a huge fan of the North Shore. Yeah. Before.
I think we just kind of wanted to like come at it with fresh eyes, and
by naming it the same as it was before.
Well, you can name it the same thing, but you can just like pretend that it's a different ski and just start from scratch.
That's fair. I don't know if I agree with that logic, but carry on.
Anyways, we didn't use any of like the old drawings or anything. We just like kind of went at it with like a few parameters. So like that 113 to 116 kind of length underfoot, and then a few different lengths. So I was kind of like, okay, like a 172 to a 176. And then I was kind of like, okay, like longer ski, like 181 to like a 186. And I just mainly talked about feelings a lot of the time. And then the designers extrapolated what I was talking about in those feelings and made them dimensions.
Right,
and geometry.
That's the next question I had. Is that's the technical part I was wondering about. Is how much hands-on did you have with the designers? Like, were you going to like Breck? Were you just doing it? Were they coming up here?
It was kind of COVID times, so it was again very virtual process. But they were sending me drawings, and then we would kind of go back and forth. I think there was actually only 3 back and forths, but it was like I wanted camber, so 2 mils of camber. I wanted those kind of parameters, and then I wanted like a really stiff tail to really help with those backseat landings.
So like, what were you using as reference and inspiration? Like were you just creating spreadsheets for that too, and going online and just absorbing knowledge. And the thing that I'm thinking of is like when you're like, all right, I want to do a 2 centimeter thing here, or I want this much camber, I want or this wide.
Yeah.
You need prototypes. Like, how is that? Is that if what's in your mind, is that what's going to translate to what's happening in the ski? Like how many like prototypes or opportunities did you get to, like, all right,
actually ski them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got like 3 different times to ski them.
Because like in your mind, like you just said, you never really built a ski before.
Yeah.
So what you're thinking about may ski completely different to what it actually is, because you don't have that hands-on like experience with it before. You could say, I want this much camber, and then have it turn out to be a bit of a disaster, you know?
To be honest, I had 2 pairs of skis that I've like really, really loved in my life. And so I kind of like took the best things of both of those and tried to put that into this ski.
Can you tell us what those are?
The original Moment Bibbies.
Yep.
Shout out to Josh Bibby. Those were the best skis ever until these skis. and then also the Blizzard Rustler, because they're a bit more playful than the Bibbies. Like the Bibbies, you could not take a rest day. Like you were on if you were skiing those skis.
Right.
And then
so the
Rustlers were a little bit more playful.
A lot of those like late 2000s, early 2010s, where there's a lot of big burly skis.
Yeah.
That they just skied you. You just ruddered.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Or you just,
It's the kind of ski. It's the kind of ski you could like straight line the bite with a cup of coffee in your hand.
Totally.
On like a 3 days after
But
pow
the
day.
thing that was so magical about the Moment Bibbies is you could like go, like I was skiing them when I lived in Lake Louise, is you could go down men's downhill and carve turns on like garbage trash bulletproof ice, and then take them onto the backside and like ski pow and like launch off like into moguls and still straight line out and be okay. So it was like kind of just like, I was like, I don't know how these skis were made, but they're perfect. Until these skis. Until the North Shore 114.
Are they that different? Watch them be the exact same dimensions. Has anybody checked that yet?
No, they are a little bit different. There's less tail rocker, actually.
You were telling me yesterday you don't like rocker.
No.
You're not a big fan of rockered skis.
I don't like full rockered skis. I like a little bit of tail rocker, and I like a little bit of early rise, but like I like camber. I come from a racing background, so that's just kind of what I've grown up on, and that's like my ski style is like pressuring the ski. Whereas like if it's rockered, it's like basically the ski is already flexed. So like those little moves that I do at the beginning, like they don't go anywhere and there's no power transfer, so it like feels super weird for me. Whereas like I feel like for someone who's coming from a park background, their skiing style is adapted for that. So yeah, that's why I like camber.
That's fair.
And I'm not much of a rockered person. Like I tried the Hojis, or I guess they were the EHPs at the time, and they were like a 179, and I just wanted to like them so much because I was such a like Eric Horlifson fan that I was like, I'm gonna love these skis, and I was like so disappointed because our skiing styles are so different that it like didn't work out.
That's funny. As we were saying yesterday, the Hoji is probably my favorite ski ever.
Yeah.
Like I will say it, my favorite ski ever. Like we were saying, I was explaining, you know, when you like put a ski on and it takes you like a run or two, sometimes longer, to figure out, all right, where's my center point? Where's my turning? You know, what's the turning radius on these things? Where do I need to stand? Like, what's my, you know, how are these working? I snapped into those Hojis and I was like, oh, he made them for me. They made them for me.
That's wild.
I love them.
But that's how I felt about the Bibbies when I first stepped on them.
Right.
And now these ones, because I was just like, every time I would just like step into them, like I don't have to like think about my skiing at all. It's just like working.
I love how when people can get to that point where they just know what they want. Like the Wileys are similar to the Hojis. They're not too dissimilar. They were produced in the same factory. Like when Hoji was Forefront, he still is. Wiley was with Forefront, and now you were like, I love these Bibbies. I get a chance to make my own, and you just create something that you like. And I love all the different personal styles of people's skiing, right? Like
totally.
A lot of time, well, why are you on that one? You need longer ski or whatever. Like, well, I like it. Like this is how I like to ski.
Well, and that's the thing is like with all like, I think ski reviews are super important, but I think like figuring out who that reviewer is
right.
really important too.
Like
because I feel like there's a right ski for everyone,
right.
and it might not be the same. It's like the same thing with boots. It's like
right.
people will be like, these are the best boots, and it's like, for you. You know what I mean? Like, so I just think like you just got to come at it with like your own and look at people who are like skiing kind of similarly to you. And like, that's probably what ski is best.
That's another thing too, is the boots.
Yeah.
You have your Frankenboots.
Oh yeah.
I was always paying attention, but now that you told me you worked as a boot fitter, I get it now.
Yeah.
But you and your Frankenboots trying to shave off like a couple grams here and like make them fitter. You just wanted to make them stiffer,
I
right?
wanted them stiffer.
Why?
Because I have a size 21 foot and they don't really make boots that big that fit into like traditional bindings, like even like demo bindings. Like if I wore a 21, which would mean I would have to buy like a kid's racing boot basically, I wouldn't fit into them. So I've got to do a lot of stuff to my boots to make them fit. Surefoot helps me out with that. Like they do a foam injected liner for me, and they do a little bit of boot mods, but like it's really, really hard to find a like stiff touring boot in like that 22 flex. So what I did was I took an old pair of kids racing boots and I like basically cut out like a new tongue that goes like over where the boot flexes, and it goes like in between there and it attaches to this buckle down there, and it just stiffens everything up. I didn't know this at the time, but Pulse is also like manufacturing one, so you can just buy those online. I did it the hard way, obviously. And so
You hojied it for
I
sure.
hojied it for sure. So I did that, and then I have a 3D printer now. Well, my partner has a 3D printer.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I've got a few like little mods that I'm going to do this year. Like I think I'm basically going to
Like, so, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me that, but explain like what's the material and like how, like, does it, like 3D printers, it's not all just the same material that comes out, right?
No, you can put different materials in it, but like it's basically a string of plastic, and then you put like a design into it, and then it just prints out that design. It's sometimes it takes like 16 hours. Like it's not a slow it's not like a instantaneous thing, but it's really fucking cool.
But when you're doing it and it's at home and it's in your garage and you're like, oh, I'm gonna, you know what?
Yeah.
I think like, that's so cool, man.
I know.
I'm surprised that they haven't done that at more like boot shops and places like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think maybe it's coming in the future, but yeah, basically because I have like this 21 foot that I'm fitting into a 22, I think like what I'm going to do in the toe box is I'm going to put some like putty in it to like see how much space like would be proper, and then I'm going to take that piece of putty out and then try and make a drawing on the computer of that, and then I'm going to get the 3D printer to make me that in plastic, and then I'm going to put it in my boot. That's my new Frankenboot.
That's so cool.
Thing.
That's so
Yeah.
super cool.
I think there's going to be some like issues. I'm just want to see what like the power transfer is going to be like between, but it will be better than having that like vacant space there. It's just like my toe won't be at the front of the boot.
How are you going to connect it into the front of the boot though?
These are all great questions, Mark, and I'll get back to you.
Well, Max is an engineer.
He is an engineer. He's a very good engineer.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I love how
Yeah.
you're just making it happen.
Yeah.
I wonder if someone's going to get you to design a boot soon.
I mean, that'd be cool. I have no boot sponsor. I just like go with like what works for my foot at this point in time, because I have like, I'm picky and I have weird feet. So, yeah, I don't know. That would be really cool. I know a lot more about boots than I do about skis. So,
See, there you go.
Yeah.
And Surefoot's great with that too. As I just go and Sammy, like, they've been a great partner of the show for a long time.
yeah. No, and they're awesome. Like
Sam knows, like they know you're, like he remembers what my foot is. Like,
Yeah.
he sees hundreds of people, thousands of people. He's like, oh, we need this for you.
Yeah.
And you need to add this and do a little lift. I'm like,
Yeah.
It's like, I think I'm getting you in a different boot this year. I'm like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, that last one was a bit too soft. I think this
Yeah.
one's gonna be good for you. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, he's so solid. Like when we were like foam injecting it, we were like, maybe we should just go with like the 21 liner and it will feel better than putting me in a 22 and foam injecting that. And that was like made a huge difference. So that was like a great suggestion by him. And it's really cool to like have that support and have them like help me out with that stuff. Cause I don't know, you can't just be alone in your garage figuring it all out on your own, you know? It's important to have collaboration. That's how you get ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what's next? Speaking of collaboration and ideas, you've always got things on the go. You were skiing. You were skiing with Blank. Oh, actually, let's talk about Blank.
Oh yeah, Blank was great.
You skied for Blank last year.
Yeah.
We had a great party at IF3.
Yeah.
We did a little beer night with them the other night at Coast Mountain.
Yeah.
They released the Feel Real beer. But it was your first kind of big project.
It was like the first time that I worked with a production company and that I'd like truly, I guess, like filmed with like other athletes and like the same athletes throughout the year, which was awesome.
Like
I was
a crew?
Yeah, like I was mainly filming with Anna, which was awesome. Like
Anna Siegel.
Yeah, Anna Siegel. Like we were super good friends outside of that, so it was just like a very like harmonious and like super fun intro to like to production.
Did she get nominated for Skier of the Year this year?
She did, and last year.
Yeah, in Blank film, right?
Yeah. She's like one of the most hard-working women in snow sports industry. Like I can say that honestly. Like she's always on the tools, like either without like whether it be like working out or like hustling behind the scenes or like doing her other job, which was working with Whitecap marketing. Like not many people know that. Like she is like one of the most dedicated skiers out there for sure.
Is she still doing that?
Whitecap stuff? I think she's moving away from that. I think she's going to do more producing this year.
Ooh.
Which would be cool. I think she's like really ready for that.
Film producing?
Yeah.
Like she going to do her own project?
Yeah, she's doing her own project with Jeff Thomas, who is a filmer from Blank. Yeah, they're doing this project called Seasons Film. I think they've got an Instagram going already, so they're going to do a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, like because I feel like people like get this finished product and they really don't like get like the like process that you go through to like get all those shots and make a whole movie. So I think it's pretty cool that they're doing that. I mean, there's so many films that do that, like Nexus and The Approach and things of that nature. I think it's super smart and gives a little bit more depth and story to what's going on, you know? So yeah, I'm stoked. I'm following it.
Awesome. What do you got planned for this year?
I literally don't know. I feel like there's a lot of like plans that are up in the air, but last year I also, outside of Blank, produced a film with Maya Antone from Indigenous Women Outdoors. That'll be coming out. So not that it was like a lot of days on snow, it was just really tricky scheduling and it was like really hard conditions to get all the footage that we needed because it like was never sunny last year and we needed sunny days. So I think we like the last day of filming for that was like May 31st or something.
What are you talking about? Wasn't it sunny like all of January, February? It didn't snow?
Yeah, but it was like we actually hadn't started filming at that point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we stared filming in April.
Oh, right.
Anyways.
Right. So, yeah, let's dive into that a little bit because you are a big proponent in, native culture and indigenous. I don't even know what the words I'm looking for. Just awareness.
Yeah.
Everything from your good gear auction, which we'll talk about, to we didn't finish the ski talk. There's the graphic on your ski. So can you explain some of your interest and your activism with that?
Yeah, I guess I feel like skiing has given me so much, and
even though you've had to work your tail off for it.
Yeah, but that's because we love it.
Right.
But I feel like in Canada and the US, I feel like we do have to recognize that like we are in a post-colonial world where we've kind of like taken land and from the First Nations that were here, and they're still here, and they've like tended and kept to this land. And I just think like recognizing that they exist, everything that's happened, and reconciling with that is like really important. And these are like really important people in our community, and I think that it's really important that we just like involve them and recognize that we are on their like ancestral lands. Like we're on the Lil'wat Squamish Nation right now, and I just think their relationship with the land is so important and so beautiful, and I just believe in having equality for all, whether that means like we have to raise other people up a bit more than some people. like, I think it's important. And I just not speaking very eloquently. I feel like I'm caught off guard on this question, but I just think it's fucking cool, and we did some bad shit, and like we should.
I caught myself on guard asking the question too, but it's because it's funny because you don't really know. I think we're still in a stage where we don't really know how to approach it.
Yeah,
like people like myself, I'm aware of all of the issues with everything from the just the was my brain not working?
Well, it's just like, we like stole a bunch of land and then tried to strip them of their culture. So like, I feel like
the residential schools.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm thinking about residential schools. We basically like created a genocide in the continent over this sort of thing, and
totally.
It's gaining a lot of traction, and I'm glad it is as well. But from a descendant of colonizers.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't really know how to approach it myself yet. And I think that's why we're stumbling over ourselves.
Totally.
Right? Even though you've done a lot to kind of bring either awareness or do your part to reconcile. Like I don't, do you feel like it's up to you? Not in those exact black and white terms, but do you feel a responsibility or an obligation to do something?
I just think that like I truly believe in equality as like a woman and I think that just like should be a blanket statement for everyone no matter where they're coming from, like whether you're like LGBTQ or you're a person of color. I feel like we should all have the same opportunities. I'm a bit of a socialist. Sorry for anyone out there who doesn't believe in that. But like I just think that within our culture and within Canada, we just need to like uplift everyone, and we're just going to have a better time all around. And I don't really know how to say that in other words right now. But I don't think it's like that. I do feel a bit of a responsibility because I just like feel upset that I was like so ignorant and blind to that growing up in Ontario. Like we had like a little like 1-page thing on residential schools, and I had no idea until I moved out here and I started tree planting and going into like northern BC where there's a lot more First Nations people, and you see how they've been segregated into these reservations. And I feel like, I don't know, it's just important that everyone have the same opportunities out there to like live and have a roof over their head and have food security and just like be in a good place and have like decent mental health resources, I just think and however that looks to that culture, because Western culture has a very different idea of like what that looks like than First Nations cultures. Mm-hmm. And I feel like allowing them to like reconnect to that culture is really important, but then also working together to like create a system and
that works for everyone.
That works for everyone is important too. Right. I'm just like a big proponent of just everyone having a good time and being allowed to be themselves.
Right. And you created the Good Gear auction last year, the first year you did it, which was really, really impressive. Explain what that was all about. So I guess what it is really it takes used and new gear, and we auction it off on Instagram through good.gear.auction. And all of the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds go to Color the Trails and Indigenous Women Outdoors, which are two female-led and BIPOC-led organizations in the Sea to Sky area. And so that kind of was just born out of like frustration because I didn't have money to donate to like these organizations, and I don't have much time to donate because I'm trying to build a professional skiing career. And I was like, what do I have that I can like, how can I give back? You know what I mean? It was important to you, like to the point where you're like, I have to do something. It was bothering you that much?
Yeah, well, like I said, I just feel like skiing has given me so much like self-worth and like purpose that I like want other people to have that opportunity. And whether it be skiing or trail running or like foraging or like whatever like gets you going. Like I just want people to have like the opportunities to discover that. And so I just realized I had gear, and gear equals money. So I
instead of just putting it on the buy and sell and putting that money in your pocket, you found a good outlet for it.
Yeah, and so actually Maya came up with the Instagram auction idea. That's the founder of Indigenous Women Outdoors, and I was like, that is a perfect avenue, because we were looking at auctioning it off like on websites, and there's all these fees. And she was like, why don't we just do it on Instagram? And I was like, that's a brilliant idea.
I'd never seen it done since or before, and it was really impressive. Like, you guys raised a lot of money.
Yeah, I think the first round we had, so it was pretty overwhelming, the amount of support.
Because you had other athletes like donating.
We had athletes,
jackets and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we had athletes, we had recreationalists within the community, we had brands, we had like companies like Altus Mountain Guides, like guiding companies and things of that nature, donating experiences. And yeah, we ended up with 175 items, and I think we raised like $19,000 the first round. And then Malu actually did one in Sweden.
Malu, yeah, right. Yeah,
and she raised $17,000. And then we did another one. Sally Stainer, who works with Bow Adaptive, or Bow Cycles. It's like those adaptive wheelchair bicycles that are like motorized.
Yeah.
That get people who are paraplegic out. She took over the account and did one for her. So that was like another $10,000. Then we did another one this year for Indigenous Women Outdoors and Color the Trails. And we made $16,000.
Wow.
I want to say. Yeah. So it's like actually like
super legit.
Pretty legit. This year it was like kind of weird. I feel like between like the algorithm on Instagram changing, and then also the fact that it was summer here in October and not rainy season, people weren't really thinking about ski season. So I feel like we had like a lot of gear donated, but we ended up taking anything that wasn't sold and just giving it to Indigenous Women Outdoors and Color the Trails to use for a gear library, or like donate to their members so that they can have another low barrier way to get outside.
So what does that money do for them? Or what are they able to do with it?
Yeah, so the first round, they opened up a lot more AST1s and like just beginner ski lessons, because a lot of people are starting from like never being on snow, you know? So
that's a great first step.
Yeah, so that was a great first step. And now they have a bunch of members who have gone through that process, have their AST1, have a bit of experience in the backcountry. So what they're going to do with this round of funding is they're going to create some more AST2 opportunities, as well as like some backcountry camping opportunities and things of that nature. So
cool.
Yeah.
Are you going to be involved in any of those?
You can I have time,
you can teach AST1s.
Yeah, I can teach AST1s, and then I can also, I was a ski coach for 8 years, so I can also like coach. But the problem is I don't have a lot of time, and then also insurance purposes, because I'm not like instructing at a hill. I'm not covered by insurance, so like I can't just go to whatever hill and be like, I'm gonna teach you how to ski. Like,
right.
Yeah, because that's a lot of like liability for me. Personally.
I love how you said at the beginning of this, which I know was a lot of work for you. I remember going down to, I think, the Vaughn's place, and you were there, and you're like, oh my god, I got boxes and boxes, and organizing everything and shipping everything, and like collecting it, categorizing it, shooting it, like taking a photo of it, listing it on Instagram, organizing it, then putting the auction on, running the auction, packing everything up, shipping it all away. Like that, you're like, oh, I didn't have any time to like really donate, or, you know, well, apparently you did, because it was crazy how much time it took and how much energy you put into it, which is really, really cool.
Well, it just kind of works out. Like October seems to be my like dead time, like because there's
so instead of like relaxing and maybe you know, calming your mind or going to Mexico or just
I took a vacation. I went for like after the Good Gear auction, and I'd shipped pretty much everything out, everything that like people had already paid for. If they like missed that week, then they just had to wait until I came back. I went to Mexico for 2 weeks. I went on a surf trip. It was great. I'm a surfer now.
Yeah.
Got to figure out how to do that more, actually.
Awesome. All right, now continuing on with that theme.
Yeah.
Your ski, everything's getting tied right back together here at the end.
It's beautiful.
The ski, which the name officially is
the North Shore 114.
The Armies. And then you can't, I don't know if you'd be able to see it on the, it's behind you.
Yeah.
And it's, who designed the art for it, and can you explain that?
Yeah, so that ski is actually in partnership with Indigenous Women Outdoors. So Maya and I talked about this like 2 years ago, like when we started Good Gear Auction. I was like, I'm going to get to build a ski. It would be really, really cool to do like an Indigenous Women Outdoors ski, because these skis are meant to be skied like on Squamish Lillooet territory. You know, like they're very inspired by this area. And so I just felt it was like necessary to like give back to that area and the people who like kept this area sweet for us. You know, so so we got a Squamish Nation artist, Calvin Dawson, to do the artwork. And then all the proceeds and profit from those skis, this limited edition ski, I think we have like 25 or 50 pairs.
And that's a big difference.
It's a big difference. I forget how many production runs.
So the ones on behind you on the left are the limited edition, and then the ones with the orange are the regular ones.
Regular ones, yeah. So those aren't up yet.
Are those ones going to be sold just at the RMU Whistler shop?
No, they'll be online as well. Yeah. They'll be like full run so whoever wants to buy them, like, you don't just have to ski them here. You can like ski them elsewhere, but it's just more that they were inspired by this area, a lot of it. So, yeah.
And if you could describe the ski,
if
someone's like, "What kind of ski are they?" If you wanted to tell the ski what they did and what they can do for you, have you like tightened that into like a little spiel?
Yeah, I would say that they're just kind of like your big mountain, like do everything. Like they're perfect for like a big powder day because of that early rise. If you want to go hit pillows, they're nice and like playful because of like, again, that early rise, but then they have that tail to support you for your backseat landings, because I do know how it be. And then and then they're just like, they're quite a stiff ski. Like they're a pretty powerful ski, so like if you want to take them up to speed, they're not chattery at all. Like I don't know. They're just kind of like your Swiss Army knife of skis for big mountain stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Before we go, I want to talk to you about something that bothers me a little bit.
Oh, dog. Okay.
No, cat.
Cat. Oh, my cat stuff?
I like your cat. Toby's awesome.
Toby's dope.
I think we have differing opinions about cats on leashes.
Okay. Listen. We love Toby. Toby is a child, my child. And we can't lose Toby. And there's so many coyotes in Squamish. So Toby really does want to be an outdoor cat, but she can't be trusted. Neither can the coyotes. So we walk her on a leash. She also has a patio that she goes out on to her by herself.
Like a
It's just like humans use it too. It's
like
not like a catio.
Like,
it's not like made for a cat. It's like it's like just our like deck.
Your
I guess.
deck. So
yeah,
a friend of mine had a cat. It was kind of a stupid cat. He got two kids from the same litter. One named Ferris, one named Kona.
Yeah.
Kona was this big fur ball, kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
And this cat would just jump off the balcony, like down to the ground.
Yeah, Toby's not that adventurous, I guess.
And that cat actually did disappear. And that cat never came back.
Yeah.
Not the next day.
Seems like it was a pretty bold cat, you know? Like, you got to be a little bit afraid if you're going to be a cat.
I had one pet when I was like a teenager. It was a black cat. His name was Jojo.
That's a good name.
We had him for a year. And he never came back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But part of me, I've always been a dog person.
Yeah.
As you can tell.
Yeah.
Cedar Dog.
Cedar Dog.
Shout out Cedar Dog over there on the...
She's a perfect angel.
She is being quiet. Yeah, that's you. Just looking at us. And I like cats. I think cats are cool. But I prefer dogs.
Yeah.
But for me, I would rather just let a cat outside and deal with the consequences. I've had it happen twice actually. I lived at the house when that cat disappeared. But I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I've had a lot of outdoor cats. I had like 9 cats when I was growing up, like not all at the same time. But obviously they were all outdoor. And I had 9 of them, if that tells you anything.
It was 7, but it was 6.
So
how many of them lived to the end?
1.
Out of 9?
Momo cat. He was really fat and didn't like going outside.
In Ottawa.
In Ottawa.
What's there in Ottawa? Coyotes
Cars, coyotes, raccoons will fuck him up for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just stuff. Sometimes I like just pretend that like maybe they just like found a new home. But
how do you deal with the sneers and the judging eyes and the looks when you're cruising down the street with your cat on a leash?
Okay, so 3 other people in the townhome complex that I live in also walk their cats.
Oh.
So honestly, it's very like accepted where I'm from.
No, I don't know. Well, maybe we'll put a poll, a Twitter poll. If you're not following us on Twitter, do it. We'll put a Twitter poll: cats on leashes, yes or no?
Yeah.
Do you follow that Jib girl, the snowboarder chick?
Jib girl. Oh, like what are they?
Danielle.
Yeah.
She has cats and she takes them for walks like around the neighborhood. And
I think it's legit.
And they follow her. No leash.
Yeah.
They follow her and like they're trained.
Right.
Or they figure it out. That I think is cool because I'm like, oh, cool, that cat's following that person. Or there's that's account Henry and Baloo or whatever it was. They're like the adventure dog and the adventure cat, and the cat would just sit on the dog's head and they would like go for hikes and stuff.
That was pretty sweet.
That I find cool because you can, if you put in the effort, you can train a cat.
But I feel like that's not true because I feel like cats are their own people.
Jen Ashton, Hoji's partner.
Yeah.
I think she trained her cat to piss on the toilet.
Oh yeah, no, that one's super easy to do. You
just put the litter box there and then take it away eventually.
Yeah, exactly. If you can get them as a kitten.
Have you
but
been?
The thing
did you do that with Toby?
No, we haven't because it was Max's cat originally. I'm like its stepmom. So, like, part of the whole leash thing is that Max won't let it be an outdoor cat.
Oh, this is a Max thing.
Yeah,
buddy,
sorry, Max.
We're having a conversation.
I'm just trying to defend this whole situation, but I got to a point where I was like, all right, fuck it. But anyways, so but I do, like, one of the things that I really enjoy is, like, I make my morning coffee and then Toby, like, will go down to the door and she won't come up until I take her for a walk. Like, it is like pretty much just like dictated by Toby at this point. She's that we like go for walks. Yeah. So I take her for a walk, I have my morning coffee, and it's just like a really nice start to my day.
Well, that's nice.
And it's
I appreciate that, and I'm glad it works for you. I still think it's wrong, but that's my own personal opinion.
Well, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, I guess. Sorry, Toby.
One with a leash.
That was like not on the nose.
And you know how that happens? Letting your cat outside without a leash.
Well, there you go. So maybe leash is a good thing.
Skinned by a
I just think we shouldn't judge anyone if they're going to put their cat on a leash or let them go outside or indoor. It's like,
I can appreciate that, but I don't agree. All right. All right. So coming up this season.
Oh, yeah.
You told me you don't really have a ton of plans, but there's a lot of things in the works that you can't really talk about just yet.
Yeah, I just feel like I've been doing a lot, I guess.
It's funny, you're right. You have created everything.
Yeah.
And now it's probably, I just want to go work with someone and let them do it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I've been wearing a lot of hats where I've been doing some producing as well as skiing, as well as like editing, filming, all like the stuff. Writing.
Now you just want to go skiing.
I also write a lot for magazines.
Right. That's right.
But I just feel like I want a chance to be an athlete.
Yeah. That's what your goal's been the whole time.
Yeah.
You've been building up. You've been doing all of those extracurriculars in order to just ski.
And the thing is that I was finding that, especially last year and the year before, I was like doing so much that I wasn't getting to ski for myself a lot. And like 2 things happened because of that. One, I was like less in love with skiing, and like I feel like if you're not in love with skiing, like why the heck are you doing that? Mm-hmm. So just reconnecting to that purpose for me is really important. And then also just like because you're not skiing as much, or like you're filming, which like you realistically with filming you're standing around a lot, and you're getting to zones a lot. You're not like doing like hard laps or like going to the hill and like banging out laps. Like my skiing, like, I feel like suffered a lot. And so, yeah, I just think that I'm going to be better at skiing if I ski more, and I'm going to love it more if I ski more, and therefore my movie parts will be better. Right on. Oh, and you're ready to grab that forecast down there. Oh, yeah.
Tom was on the cover. We had him on the other day. You've got an article. Let's see.
I've got 2 articles.
You have 2 articles in this one?
Yeah, I've got a funny one, and then I've got like a funny one about ski patrolling that I actually wrote when I was ski patrolling, but Forecast like just published it now.
You just sent it to him, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I just sent it.
They haven't been holding on to it for 6 years.
No, it was like 2 years maybe.
Yeah.
And they decided that it was the time. But it's like why ski patrols are hot, basically. And then
ski cops.
If you're into that sort of thing.
Boo.
But yeah, that one. And then I have an article on the project that Maya and I worked on together, which should be coming out in December. It's called Transformers, and it kind of...
It's in this one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in that one, yeah.
Oh, the
film, yeah. The article is already out,
well,
so you kind of get an idea.
Let us know when it comes out. Put me on, make sure I'm on your PR list.
Yeah, no,
and, we'll post that and share it for you.
For sure, thank you.
Awesome. Alex, let's go skiing.
Let's do it, man.
Are you skiing today?
No. I'm going skiing tomorrow, though.
Yeah, I know. Because we were talking about it, but Max is skiing right now.
Yeah, Max is skiing
Let's
right now.
go meet him on the hill and do like a lap just to get a day on the pass.
I could.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I guess.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was awkward hand.
I don't know.
Awkward high
I'm
five.
really bad at goodbyes.
Oh, well, then why don't we just... Thanks for watching this video on the LPP YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. And while you're here, you might as well watch this great LPP highlights video. Thanks.